What's going on, guys? Gomes back again on another MLB The Show 19 Diamond Dynasty video. Today, I want to have a little sit down and chat. So, seemingly each and every day on Twitter, I see more and more people becoming unhappy, unsettled with how the gameplay plays in MLB The Show 19, which I think is very valid. You guys know my position. I know there's issues with the game, but I'm still enjoying it. You know, I'm still going to be pumping out content. I'm still going to be playing the game. Is it as good as it should be? No. Is it as good as we all hoped it would be, coming off a pretty poor MLB The Show 18 and not completely great MLB 17? Now, it definitely did not live up to the hype, in my opinion. And I want to talk about 5 glaring issues that are really kind of holding the gameplay down, at least in my opinion. These are just 5 issues that I think are very prevalent, that I notice a lot in the game. Not all of these can be fixed, you know, that quick, just this year. Some of these will have to wait until MLB The Show 20, which is just realistic. We are getting close to being halfway through the lifespan. Realistically, we're halfway through like the live content span of MLB The Show 19. So, without further ado, let's get right into it. So, the first one is something that I noticed when I made a video a couple weeks ago. That was my Mythbusters video on does the blocking stat really matter for catchers, and I used 4 different catchers of varying tiers of blocking status. Namely, I used 96 blocking, 98 overall signature Yadier Molina, where he blocked 65 out of 100 balls, 65%, which in the grand scheme of things is not that good, but that's not what I'm talking about. What I'm talking about is, if you guys have ever noticed, the reason why you don't block that many balls is because the ball goes through you. I looked at some of the replays because I saw a couple people commenting about that, and yeah, the ball would go straight through Yadier Molina or any of the catchers that I had back there. Because I was always wondering, because when I was doing the test, I would throw some balls to the sides of them, and then I would throw some balls, you know, right at them, right at their chest protector. And it seemed like sometimes when they had to slide or move a little bit to either of the sides, they would almost block a little bit better. The reason for that is because it doesn't go through them, whereas if I throw a curveball, it hits them right in the chest, a lot of times it would go straight through them, and that's obviously an error. They should be blocking it. It shouldn't be that way. If they're physically there, the ball should not go through them. That is obviously a glaring issue with the game. In general, I thought, you know, 65 out of 100 for the best blocking catcher, or pretty much the best blocking catcher in the game, is not that good. And once I looked back at those replays, that definitely goes to show I don't know how simple of a fix that would be. You know, they've really made strides. If you guys remember, in video games, it used to be where you could run right through somebody. Let's say if you had somebody at first base and you were running at first base, you'd run right through them. Now, it doesn't let you do that. At least most of the time in most video games, it does not let you do that. So that is a big thing that needs to be fixed. That is so obvious. A ball cannot go through my catcher if, you know, unless I am just completely airmailing the throw. It's, you know, it's a wild pitch. If I throw it and it hits their chest protector, it should be kept in front of them. It shouldn't go all the way back to the backstop. That is something big that needs to be fixed within the game either this year, hopefully, or damn sure better make it happen in MLB 20. The second one is one of the most prevalent in a lot of people's minds. That is the whole line drive issue that we do have. And this is probably the most complicated one. I'll touch a little bit more on what I think they can fix with it a little bit later on in this video. But basically, a lot of people are becoming unhappy with the fact that you can square up the ball, have good, you know, good PCI placement. It's in a good place in the strike zone. You hit it hard, but it just ends up as a line drive to center field. And now there's a couple different ways to look at it. Yes, is it realistic that if you square up the ball and it's going to be a home run every time? Absolutely not. That is not realistic. But is it realistic to have it seemingly happen so often? Because if you guys play this game enough, you guys know that is one of the most frustrating things, because you are doing your part as a human, as a player, in squaring the ball up, swinging at a good pitch. You are doing your part. There's nothing more that you can do. If you put the right guys out there with good hitting stats and you're performing well, you should end up with good results, but that does not always happen. In reality, this is it's supposed to be a competitive video game. Obviously, I think we could all go to say it's more casual based rather than a competitive game. This is for sure not going to be an esport anytime soon with how the gameplay is right now, because it's just so random. It's so RNG. There's nothing really that, makes a difference. There could be five straight squared up balls, and maybe 2 of them go for hard hit doubles or home runs, and then 3 are lineouts, and then the next time it might be 4 for home runs and hard hit doubles. It is very random. There's something that needs to be fixed right there, because if you're doing your part, and that's where it gets the most frustrating, if you're doing your part, if you're squaring the ball, and then your opponent, you guys know it always happens, there'll be an inside out hit, there'll be something that's not in the strike zone, they wrap their hands around it, they're completely late on the ball, and it still goes for a home run. Stuff like that is really what irks people and really what gets people off, because you're performing well, yet they're having better results, and they're not even they're not playing as good as you. They're not doing the same things you are. So that's clearly something wrong with the game that needs touching. I'm getting tired of talking about this one. Fielding miscues. This is something that I know for a fact can be fixed this year. They just don't do it. I've had so many times. You guys know I am very keen on putting good defensive players out there. If you have lower than usually even 70 fielding, exception of Frank Thomas, you guys know he's a diamond defender in disguise. I don't really play with them because I like to have good defense, because I don't want my game to be ruined by something completely out of my control. But it still happens. Jose Reyes has been my shortstop the entire year. Gold defense, 82 fielding at shortstop. If there is a slow roller, I am scared to death half the time, because he does not cleanly field it. I don't know why. There's nothing I can do. I take the right angle, or if there's even an angle to take, a lot of times it's literally right to him. It's a ground ball, not like a 110 mile per hour hot ground ball coming up on him either. It can be pretty moderately hit, and he will boot it. It doesn't make sense. They said in a live stream back a couple months ago that gold and diamond fielders will not miss routine plays. It didn't happen, because I also played Tony Gwynn out in right field, and he dropped a ball. He has diamond fielding, and he drops a baseball. That should not happen. The same thing with hitting. I did my job. I did put the right players out there. These guys have good defensive ratings. It's a routine play that anybody can make. I don't care if you have silver defense. If you're, talking once again about video games, if you have like bronze defense, common defense, yep, you should have somebody better out there. I accept that there's going to be errors. But if you have gold and diamond defense, unacceptable. If it's a routine play, they should field the ball cleanly each and every time. If it's hit 115 miles per hour at them, I will accept, one of those animations you guys know where the ball hits their glove and goes over them. That's fine. That is not necessarily a routine play always, or if they have to move a little bit, I get that. But if it's right to them, if they just have to, there should not be errors happening. There's nothing I can do about it. There's no field button. There's no catch button. Introduce that. Actually, no, that'd be dumb. Do not even entertain that thought. Just make it so diamond and gold fielders cannot make routine errors. Patch 1.13, I do believe they said was the patch where you'd have to be closer with your PCI. You'd have to have better timing in order to make contact with the ball. That... It didn't do anything. Patch 1.13, a lot of people agree is a complete joke. That's why on Twitter, I see a lot of people saying revert back to 1.12. For hitting wise, that's good. But in this point, I want to talk about the PCI. This is a big problem with the game. If you're not close to the ball, if you're not good at timing, if you're very early, if you're very late, you're not making contact with the ball. Plain and simple. You have to be close with your PCI. You have to be pretty on time. You can still be early. You can still be late. You just can't be very early, very late, because it's ridiculous. Then you get into the thing where they just keep fouling off pitches over and over again. And I talked about this not too long ago, but they didn't fix it, even though they said it would. I think they said they put more stress and more time in on the legend difficulty, where it's supposed to be more of a contrast, where you really have to be more sure that you are, you know, becoming close with the PCI, being pretty on time with it. But especially on Hall of Fame, I don't notice a difference. I haven't heard anything good about it on legend difficulty either. There has to be something that changed. Strikeouts are down, and that's not just because everybody sucks. It's not because everybody has really good teams, because everybody has really good pitchers. There's not a lot of strikeouts because everybody's just making cheap contact, just keep fouling it off, keep ticking it. There has to be something that does not help the idea of a skills gap. If I can tick 5 to 6 pitches where I'm not on time at all, my PCI isn't close, I'm not even in the vicinity of it, and then eventually they start getting tired, they end up walking me, or eventually they throw a meatball and I hit a home run. That's not skills gap. That's not me beating him. That's the game not performing as it's supposed to be. And then finally, I just want to talk about the hitting engine. Movie Gaming TV on Twitter kind of expressed his views on it, and I completely agree. They have to have a new hitting engine. In MLB The Show 17, they adopted a new one. Of course, if you guys don't know, that's when they really introduced the ball physics. Before, they described it as the ball was hitting a flat object, like in MLB 16 and prior. Then MLB 17, they made it so it's more realistic, where the ball is hitting a round object, a bat, you know, and it's going to do different stuff. And that's when the hitting engine completely changed. And ironically enough, I think that's when hitting for me kind of took a dip for the worst. Ever since MLB 17, I always thought this wasn't as good as MLB 16, MLB 15, and prior. It's weird because this is supposed to be more realistic, but it just is not working. It is not how this video game should be playing, in my opinion. And makes the game very random, where once again we get into the issue where I screw up the ball, I do my job, my opponent does not do too well, yet he still gets those hits and I get lineouts. Because the fact of the matter is, this year they did change it, where if I screw up the ball, it's more so going to be hit hard. It's going to be hit 110 miles per hour, but it's going to go right at them. Right? Likewise, my opponent completely under the ball can be early on it, and he's gonna get a Texas leaguer, he's gonna get a blooper, and it's a single. And those add up, especially considering there's so many fast guys. If you do that with Ichiro, which is notorious, Ichiro, guys like that, Kenny Lofton, just contact swing, be completely under the ball, get those bloopers, and then have 90, 97 speed on base and go ahead and fly. That is what really makes this game frustrating. The hitting engine needs to be scrapped. I beg, and I must add, this is not something that could be changed in MLB 19. Absolutely not. Fielding, yup. Catching, probably. On the PCI, probably too. But hitting engine, there's no way they can fix in MLB 19. This is something that would have to be altered for MLB 20, which you would hope they've been working on for some time, because they've heard discontent since MLB 17, a lot last year and a lot this year. So you would hope within those 3 years they've been like, you know, we probably should adopt some new changes. We might try to do something different, because people are just not enjoying it right now. The hitting engine needs to be altered. It needs to be fixed. It needs to be scrapped, and get something in there that rewards the player for actually performing well. In summary, all I'm looking for is a skill gap. I'm looking for user skill to be accounted for. I want to be rewarded. Is it realistic that I'm going to hit 10 of 10 home runs? No. But it's not realistic to hit 3 of 10 and everything is a line drive. Something has to be done. This is a video game. You know, they call it a simulation baseball game. They call Madden simulation. They call it 2K simulation. If you time up your shots, you're going to make them. If you know how to time your shots, you're going to make them. That's a different case though. This is baseball. This has to have user skill. There has to be a reward for you performing well. And that's the biggest thing in my opinion, is user skill needs to be there. And there has to be a lot less RNG. The new hitting system would really help change that. Would it make games really high scoring? Yeah, Probably, but you also factor in changing the PCI. If you're not close, you're not going to make contact. I think it's just going to make a much more well-oiled baseball game. I think it's going to make a lot of people happy, and it's going to keep people around, because I cannot even tell you how many of the top players that I've seen on Twitter really getting upset or really being not happy with the game right now, just because it's how it's playing, and they don't really feel like being out here and grinding so many games, because you guys know the guys at the top of the top are playing so many ranked games. It has to be changed, has to be fixed. Hopefully in MLB 20, a new hitting system is going to come. Let me know down below in the comments section what you guys think needs to happen. What are the glaring issues in MLB 19 that need to be fixed? But if you guys enjoyed this video, make sure to like down below. Hope you guys have a great day. There comes out. Yay!